What's going on, everybody? These are the views from Lot K. I'm Max, coming to you with Steve. Steve, welcome back from your little break that you were going on. How are you enjoying yourself so far on this Monday?
I'm good. Sorry I missed last week. Had to go out to dinner with the lady and her family to celebrate graduation back home. So last minute sprung on me, and I didn't realize it until the day of when I texted Max and I said, "Oh, just kidding. I can't record today." So I felt bad, but I knew Max was going to hold the fort down, and he did pretty well, I gotta say. Being a little solo man and adding a little YouTube action. I mean, Max, I think he could be a one-man show at some point.
I don't know. Editing a podcast of just my voice for 40 minutes was quite the adventure for me.
I believe it. But man, there's a lot going on. We got a really exciting time in Philadelphia, but also a real sucky time. So let's talk about the really exciting time that we just witnessed a little bit ago.
Yeah, NBA playoff action. We got game one that just wrapped up a little over an hour ago as of the time we're recording this. The Sixers held on, clawed with the Wizards the entire game, and they won 125 to 118. All in all, this was the most annoying Sixers win I think I've seen in a while, because we had it down pat, but these refs were just going at us all game, and there was no way that we could really find a way to really pull away from Washington at any point during that game. Refs were just blowing calls all over the court, missing travels from the Wizards, and it was just really going against and killing the Sixers' momentum the entire game. The biggest thing to point out, Joel Embiid had 3 fouls with 7 minutes to go left in the second quarter, and the third foul, he didn't even touch Alex Len on the shot, and they still called it for him, and it just seemed like it was really tough officiating going against Philly today.
Yeah, it looked really really tough on there, and I was even watching, and I even picked up on some of the bad calls. And I mean, not even bad calls, just lack of calls. I mean, there was one, I don't know, I forget who it was. It might have been Neto that was driving the hoop, and I mean, it was just a very clear travel, and everyone in the Farg saw it, everyone at home saw it. Mark Zumoff was going crazy about it because I got to watch the local broadcast, and I just don't know how you miss calls like that.
And it wasn't even just 1 or 2 calls. It was consistently throughout the game that the refs, it really felt like it was going against it. And I had this down a little later, but if there was ever a game that the Wizards would have stolen from this series, it felt like it would have been this one. There were just 7 straight minutes. They only had to guard Dwight Howard instead of Joel Embiid down low. Yeah, he held his own, but Dwight doesn't do the same things offensively and defensively that Joel is able to do game in and game out. So for the Sixers to really just be resilient in this game and hold on, it puts a real nice light going forward for the rest of this series. But before talking overall story arcs, let's just look at some individual performances from this game. Ben Simmons, the good and the bad from him. I'm going to start with the bad first. It's been a storyline for years. Everyone knows that Ben Simmons can't shoot the basketball, but you cannot go 0 for 6 from the line in a playoff game. It worked out well here, but in a situation where it's much closer against a lot better teams that have a lot more offensive firepower, like your Milwaukee's, your Brooklyn's, your Miami's, that's not going to cut it, because they're just going to go and they're going to hack fouls on Ben, put him at the line, and he's going to be able to turn it consistently. He went 3 of 9 overall for the field, just needs to take better quality shots, get in positions where he knows he can score instead of just trying to force balls. They were still good there. He did get a double-double today solely from rebounds and assists. 15 boards, 15 assists. So he was really creating new chances for the team to come back into it. And it was still a good performance from Ben Simmons, but I feel like I still have to critique on his shooting where it was evident. Tobias Harris also went off in the first 3 quarters of this game. Overall, he had 37 points, went 15 of 29 on shooting, but he ran into a brick wall in the fourth quarter. The Sixers had a lot of momentum going early in that quarter and late in the third, really getting back with Embiid on the court and all the guys gelling well together. Just didn't have it in him in the fourth. Luckily, Joel was there. He was able to pick it up, but we're going to need to have these consistent scoring options where they're not going to go cold. I talked about that on the preview pod with the guy I'm going to jump into next, Steph Curry. All in all, he had a pretty good night, 15 points, 3 of 9 from beyond the arc. Just that consistent performance, didn't go ice cold, was able to create shots and offer something different for the team. George Hill, another guy, super dominant performance off the bench. 11 points, 5 of 8 shooting, really getting shots that he wanted to, bringing a veteran experience to this team, going on the court, helping hold it down with a bunch of those bench guys. And then last but certainly not least, Joel. While he sat out for the final 7 minutes of the second quarter, he played, I think, 20 seconds under 30 minutes total in the game, but he still had 30 points. So averaging a point a minute, just an all-in-all dominant performance from Embiid in this game. Was there anything you saw from this that you want to point out, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, impressed with Toby the way he kind of took control of this game today, and I think without Toby, we don't see a game one win. I was really impressed with the way he played, and I do agree, he kind of stepped off in the fourth quarter. But at some point, you got to ask yourself, how much that was fatigue from basically carrying the team on your back, because that's essentially what he did today. I mean, Joel helped with the 30 points, but other than that, the most notable was probably George Hill coming in off the bench. Ben, again, great. He had a double-double with boards and assists, but again, like you said, you can't go 0 from 6 from the line in a playoff game when have played well all year, especially shooting from the line. So, I mean, I think this team just needs to focus, and I was listening to Toby a little bit after the game today, and it just said, it shows how much we need to focus going into the rest of the series, because, I mean, the Wizards team for an 8 seed is still a very good team, and you need to watch out for guys like Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal. I mean, this is not going to be just a walk in the park series. This is going to possibly be a little bit of a challenge. So you got to keep it clean. You can't let the refs get involved in the game. I mean, there's no reason why, at the end of the game, the refs should have been involved with it. You should have put them away earlier. You just can't miss opportunities. You got to take those opportunities that the Wizards give you, and you got to capitalize on them.
Yeah, even touching more on that Wizards point you're making, this is an elite backcourt you have to go against. It's not like an 8-seed Hornets that really go in there. It's like, hey, we have LaMelo Ball, we have a one-man option. It's a solid 8 team that is very hot right now. I mean, not only coming off getting 2 additional games in from the play-in game, but they were just really building up a lot of momentum and a lot of steam at the end of the season. They had, I think it was a 0.8% chance at the beginning of April to make the playoffs, and here we are playing them as an 8 seed, and they took us down to the wire. Yeah, refs got involved with the game. Like you mentioned, it shouldn't have to come down to the refs deciding the game, but you need some better officiating here than what we had tonight. I hope we don't have these same refs throughout the rest of the series. I don't believe that's how the playoffs work. They'll announce it at a later time. But we can't afford to have officiating like this.
Yeah, and I wonder how much we can attribute to them just being rusty from the week off. I mean, and this is kind of what I was talking about with the playing game. That's why I'm not a fan of it. You're making these teams that have made and deserve to play. You're giving them a week off, and basketball is one of those games where you can't sit for too long. You need to kind of keep playing and keep to gain speed. So, if they want to continue with this playing tournament, you gotta somehow find a way to shorten it instead of giving them every other day. Maybe you make them play back-to-backs. I don't know what you do there, but you just can't. It's just not fair to the teams that have qualified for the playoffs right off the bat, I feel like.
The NBA is going to keep doing it, though, for those TV ratings, because think about it. You're going to make more competitive opening starts to the series. Like, you probably had more people tuning into this Sixers-Wizards series at 1 o'clock on a Sunday than you would get for, say, if it was both of them coming off 3 games rest and it's like a Tuesday night at 7:30 on TNT. All in all, it was an interesting game to watch as a whole. Even touching more on your point, I really liked what I saw of the Sixers team later in this game, and you really felt that they were sort of shaking off the cobwebs, sort of getting the rust off them. And you even saw it with the Wizards, a little more cohesive team. They've got to run some more playoff sets earlier in the game while the Sixers were trying to catch up and adapt. The more the team went on, the more the team got to play together with their core starting 5, the better they looked. And I feel like that's something I've been reiterating every time I talk about the Sixers going forward. Just need to get these guys to get together, play healthy, and we really saw it today. And something that was even more beneficial, I think it was 11 guys we had see take the court today, when last year in the playoffs we had, for some games, an 8-man rotation. That depth is going to be massive going into later series, and you have guys that are inevitably going to get into more foul trouble. You need people to step up or offer different scoring options when guys are going cold. George Hill is someone I really want to watch the rest of this series as well as the rest of the playoffs to see what he can do going forward. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, if that's even the proper name for it, comes on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Nationally, it's going to be on NBA TV. Regionally, you can catch it on NBC or NBC Philly. Going to be multiple places to watch it. Very excited to see how it's going forward. Sixers actually open in this game as 8.5-point favorites against the Wizards, and I believe they were only 6-point favorites going into game 1 if I remember looking at the odds books earlier this morning. So we'll be watching for that. And touching on that with a quick programming note, we'll say it at the end again, we are going to be publishing an episode on Friday instead of Thursday, so we have a full time to be able to analyze game 2, give you guys all the coverage that you need instead of sort of skipping it and then trying to give you 2 at once going into the end of the weekend. Sort of piggybacking off your original point, Steve, let's go from the starlit Philadelphia performance to the absolute stinker with the Phillies this past week.
Yeah, I mean, a real rough week for the Phillies team. We kind of seen this. It's kind of been the theme the past couple pods that we've talked about them. Following a series opening win, they dropped four straight were dropped before winning the series finale against the Red Sox today, 6-2. So pretty rough. They've only scored 7 runs in those 4 losses, and they gave up 24 in that same stretch. Losses going to all of our starters, so excuse me, whether or not bullpens held it down, the starters have kind of been getting those losses. I mean, Nola got rocked on Friday night. Spencer Howard comes up in his first start of the season, and I'll say this, I was lucky to be able to be down there last night in South Philly, and obviously, of course, I had the park in Lock Hay, and the views, I got to tell you, were absolutely stunning. But Spencer Howard, the first inning, struck out 5 or 6 guys, and it looked really good, and I thought it was a real promising start. And then all of a sudden, it kind of collapses down. I don't want to give total fault to Spencer Howard. I mean, again, 2 runs in a start is kind of normal. He did walk 4, though, so that's a little rough. But, I mean, Coonrod came in and gave up back-to-back solo shots. And if that doesn't happen, you're looking at a tie game, maybe, if the bullpen gives up a run.
Yeah, but you also have runners in scoring position at the end of that game, and Reese just strikes out on it to end it.
Well, and now I'm going to talk about that a little bit, where we're talking about batting. I guess we can talk about it now. So, I mean, they've really fallen off. I'm dropping in the last 6 with 8, only scoring 4 runs in 2 of those 8 games. Over 4 runs, I should say. The one thing I noticed last night is this team is not being aggressive at the plate. They're sitting back and they're letting pitches come in, which is fine in certain circumstances. But against a Red Sox team who last night was throwing Nathan Eovaldi, who is really good, you got to be a little bit more aggressive. You can't just be sitting there looking. I mean, a lot of those strikeouts last night were because they got into bad situations where they sat and looked at the first 2 pitches and were behind in the count. You really don't want to be, obviously behind in the count too much, and they sat back in the counts, watched pitches go by, and they were hittable pitches, at least from where I was sitting. I mean, I was sitting in the first base side, so it's a little tough to tell, but, I mean, you can't just do that. You can't just keep on looking at pitches the entire time. You got to be able to get the bat out of the shoulders and start swinging, especially if you're, a guy like Rhys Hoskins or Bryce Harper. I mean, shout out to Rhys for his 100th career home run last night. Brad Miller, Bamboo Brad, tearing the ball up right now. Had a great double last night to right field. So he's probably the bright spot of this team
Wait. Did you just call Brad Miller the bright spot of this team?
Yeah, he's batting like 300 right now.
Oh my God, he's a utility guy that's played like 10 games all season. Okay, sorry.
I don't care.
15 games all season. You cannot call him the bright spot of this team.
I can call him the bright spot of this team because that's the only team he's the only person on this team that's making me happy right now.
There's got to be someone else on this team making you happy. There's got to be someone aside from Brad Miller.
No, Brad Miller's a guy. Maybe Andrew Knapp, because I'm a big Andrew Knapp guy now.
I'm not even getting back on that point.
I'm a big Andrew Knapp. I mean, come on, let's be real. If JT Realmuto wasn't in Philadelphia, Andrew Knapp would be the starter in Philadelphia, and I would not be upset about it.
Why is this the hill you want to die on?
I don't want to die on it. I'm just stating the facts.
You've been stating this fact for like 2 weeks with me. This is one of the more adamant points I think you have had in all of our sports talks over the years. And
Andrew Knapp is not a bad catcher.
Yeah, he's not a bad catcher, but I don't have the needs to scream it to the heavens.
I don't think that people give him the credit that he deserves. I really don't. I think if again, he could be a starter on any other team, and the fact that we have him as a backup is a great option. So, again, I will die on that hill. I will die defending Andrew Knapp. Andrew Knapp is a great player under JT Realmuto. He would be a starter anywhere outside of Philly,
You know who's
except with maybe like St. Louis because of Yachty.
you know who is a great player ever since he left Philadelphia, and I am never going to understand this.
Michael Franco.
No, I watched him play in Baltimore. He was not good. Nick Pivetta. He has been tearing it up with the Red Sox this year. He was awful with us for 3 years. Goes up to Boston, and he's a solid number 3 pitcher now.
Nick Pavetta's good, and I'm sad about it because I liked Pivetta, even though he sucked here. I liked Pivetta as a guy, and I wanted him to do well. But all that being said, Wheeler today had a great game, a great performance as we're recording. Struck out 12, allowed 1 on 3 hits and a walk through 7 1/3.
Is this two straight outings for him with 10 plus Ks?
I think so.
Yeah, he is the only player on this team that makes me happy.
You know what, I will say, he's a bright spot of that rotation right now because Nola's just not doing it for me.
Nola's had 2 bad outings his last 2 times out, and I hope he was maybe overthinking this outing after the last one, and he's finding a way to shake it off. I don't want to see the Aaron Nola we saw 2 years ago. That was just a mediocre pitcher, and I don't want this back and forth. He gets a borderline Cy Young year. Always bad. Really good number 1 pitcher. What's going on with him?
Yeah, so, 2.38 ERA through 10 starts this year. He's the first Phillies pitcher to have a sub-250 ERA, a sub-1 whip in the first 10 starts of the season since a pitcher in 2011 named that pitcher.
2011. Oh, there's 4 guys I could go between right here. It's a Phillies pitcher we're talking, right?
It's a Phillies pitcher, yep.
Let's see. Part of me wants to be outlandish and say Roy Oswalt, but I know that's not the answer.
No, you're wrong. You're close.
Well, I know it's one of the 4 aces. I'm just going between if it's Cole, Doc, or Cliff. Let's go Cole.
It was... no, it wasn't Cole.
Oh, who was it? Was it Cliff?
It was Doc.
Doc seemed like too easy of an answer.
Doc, 2011, 2.21 with a 0.98 whip. The year he lost the Cy Young to Kershaw and got robbed.
The only time I saw Doc pitch was in 2011, and it was the 19-inning game where he was done after like 6 innings. It was such a bad performance for him, and I was there till like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, God.
Not good. Keep going.
And then Wheeler's 12 strikeouts today tied a career high for him. Struck out 12 against the Padres in 2013. Again, another, Hoskins continues to hit the ball well outside of striking out. Had an opposite field 2-out single in the first inning to score El Torito. And then 3 batters later, Brad Miller follows with the opposite field home run to make it 4-0. Both of those were 2-strike hits. So, kind of what we talked about a little bit there earlier. They just got to start swinging the bat more. They can't be looking at, with 2 strikes. They got to be aggressive. I think they're all slumping at the same time, which is not ideal. Especially guys like Bryce Harper, Aaron Nola, who are kind of the backbone of this team. But guys have been filling in. Nick Matone has been a bright spot. I've been really big on him. The guy who I thought was going to do better this year when he got called up, but he really hasn't, was Marchand, Rafael Marchand. He just I was happy to be able to see him play last night. Almost gunned out. I forget who it was. It might have been Rafael Devers last night. And just Segura just missed holding the tag on him. If Segura held the tag, they would have had him. But also at the same time, you're down JT Realmuto. You're down DD. They'll be back soon, so maybe that'll give us a little bit of boost on the offensive side of the ball when they both come back. I'm not counting the matches out yet because this NL East is absolutely abysmal, to say the least. And the Phillies still have only managed to be 3 games back of first in the division.
I thought as we're recording right now, I think it's only 1.5 because the Mets are only
Yeah, it is
a
currently only
game
one and a
above
half,
500.
and we're only there. Mets are 2 games above 500. We are only a game. We're in third in the division, second to or third to the Braves and Mets. Um, so this will be a big upcoming series. We got a division matchup, 4 games against the Marlins, and then we head over to Tampa after the 4 in Miami. Head west of Tampa, and we go play 2, and then we head back north to Cincinnati against 3 against the Reds. Next home game is June 4th versus Nationals, which
Kind of far
nope,
away.
that is still what
Kind of far away.
kind of far away. Also, still only 16,000 capacity. I think the next series or 2 series after that will be full capacity for the Phils. But again, I think this will be a good reset for the Phils as a step away from the bank. They really need to step up and take the Marlins series. I would even say split the Marlins series. You got to get at least 2 wins in Miami, and then try to take at least 3 of 5 between the Reds and the Rays series. Again, down to 23 and 24 in the year. There's still only a game and a half down on the Mets, tied for the division with the Braves right now. This at least is just abysmal, and we kind of thought it was going to be like a team or two that ran off with it, but the fact that the Phillies are 1 game below 500 and still able to be in contention for the division is just kind of baffling to me at this point.
I was talking about a friend with this past weekend. I feel like the NL East always gets really hyped up and then just never performs to expectations. It's always, look at this monster division, look at all these teams. I'm thinking at this point, it's kind of just the market always hypes all these teams up, and then we never really seem to perform.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just shows how competitive this division could be. Um, Inside of the division. Because I mean, when you look at the inside the division, I mean, these are all good. Honestly, they're all good teams. When you take it outside the division, it's hard. Like they're just playing. Hot teams are just playing awfully against some of these teams. We never play well against interleague matchups though. And we're coming off of 2 in that stretch, playing the Blue Jays and then playing the Red Sox in a very very competitive AL East. So I mean, you're playing probably the best division in the league against the worst division in the league, I would say, or pretty close to the worst division in the league. So again, I take a lot of these games right now with a grain of salt, especially with who we're missing. I'm interested to see how they actually fare when the team is fully healthy, because again, there are some pieces there like Hoskins is playing well. Harp when he before this slump was playing well. Kutch, who I said we would trade by the deadline, has been doing better. um, there are a couple pieces that are struggling. Segura has had on and off. The center field position is still sometimes an issue, but Herrera has looked to be the most consistent position player in center field. They're gonna have a lot of decisions come when people get healthy on who's gonna go and who's gonna stay between Marchand and Matone. Excuse me, I say his name wrong all the time. And a couple pitchers, so we'll have to see what happens when these guys get healthy. There's going to be some tough decisions that are going to be made, and who knows? I mean, we might see some guys that were up here that really don't deserve that spot to go back down to Lehigh Valley to get the playing time that they actually really need to improve upon themselves.
Yeah, just all in all, it is such a confusing Philly season. Watching these games, they feel so depleting. It's just zaps the morale out of you, and then you look at the standings, it's like, oh, we're still in this race. And I know we're 23 and 24, we're at 500. It just doesn't feel like a 500 baseball team right now with the way they're playing. They're very streaky. There are times where we look great, then look awful. And yeah, I guess it balances out at the end of each month, but I don't really know what I'm expecting from this team. Andrew McCutchen is third on the team in all homers with 7. Tied for second with 7. He's tied with Harper and then Hoskins at 9. I think that kind of says something for this team when Andrew McCutchen, one of the oldest players in the starting nine, if not the oldest player in the starting nine, third in homers, and he's not known as a power hitter.
Yeah, I again, I mean, I think we're seeing some old shades of MVP Koch. I don't think obviously he's playing to that full capacity, but I think we're seeing a lot more often than not shades of that MVP season with the Pirates. So I guess just a lot to unpack with this team right now, and now that we're looking probably at what almost a third of the way season, probably just under a third of the way through the season. Things are starting to shape out kind of the way that you said it. I won't say the way that I said it because I said they were going to be a lot better than they actually are playing right now. I think better than what you expected, maybe.
This is about what I expected from this team.
I think a lot less than what I expected out of this team this year. I think Dombrowski has a lot of needs he needs to address before the deadline hits and as the deadline hits. So we'll see as we get into June and July what this team will do and see if they can actually improve. Because I think at this point, I mean, they can still compete and they can still be in the running for a division. They just need to kind of find the right pieces, and I think you start off by getting some pitching help.
Yeah, it's kind of at a point where it feels like it's one too many pieces to be a buyer for this season, but we're still competitive in the division. And once you get to the postseason, all hell breaks loose. You just got to see what goes out there. We got so much more Phillies we could talk about in the months to come. I say let's just keep it rolling right now into Bets of the Week. Your favorite segment. Everyone loves it. I always love recapping yours. I just want to touch really quickly. Hornets to make the playoffs, losing in the play-in game.
Well, hold on here. My question is, because there's a technicality there. There's a technicality.
No,
Is
they
it
did not.
considered
They
the
did not
playoffs, or
make
is
the
it
postseason.
considered the postseason?
No.
Because like the play-in tournament is considered the postseason.
But it's not the playoffs.
Yes, but it's the postseason.
Okay, your bet was for playoffs. If FanDuel registered your bet as a loss.
Yeah, but I don't use FanDuel. I use Barstool. I wish I could figure out if that
It's
actually happened or
okay.
not.
Well, it's still registered as a loss. You had that, and then not to mention Vegas breaking your heart, being level on points with the Avalanche in the West, but losing on tiebreakers to lose the division. So you dropped to 2-10 on the year, down $8.14. You just love to see it. And then meanwhile, my bet of Russ dropping 30, he goes out and drops, I think, 16 against the Pacers. They still got the win, but I dropped to 6-9, but I'm still positive on the year, 185. And our bets for this week, we both took the same game. Heats and Bucks. We're both taking the over-under at 221.5. I'm taking the over at minus 108. You're taking the under at minus 109. So no matter what, come Thursday,
One of us is
Friday,
winning.
one of us is winning. It's just who.
It'll be me.
We'll see.
Listen, I just want to put out there that my actual account is a lot better than.
Okay, yeah, the
Yes.
actual account for the bets that we don't see.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, look at the record. You are 2-10 here.
Listen, man, I'm up $539 in my actual account, so I don't want to hear it from you.
When it comes down to the bets that matter, 2-10.
Listen, I'll be more than happy to put my actual record out there right now. Hold on. I'm probably like 12-40.
Yeah, so I think it reinforces the point of a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So let's go with it. Blind squirrel. What are any final thoughts you have from today's pod?
The Phillies suck. The Flyers suck.
They haven't even played in over
I
a
know.
week.
It just hurts to watch the playoffs right now without them. My heart is broken. I kind of want to go see the Champions League matchup September 15th in Philly for the Union. Those are the final thoughts that I'm having right now.
All right, final thoughts for me. I'm just waiting for more developments of Sixers Wizards. Am I on a mailing list for Wizards postseason tickets solely to see Game 3 or Game 4? Maybe. We'll keep you developed in how it goes. Those are my
Listen,
final
man,
thoughts.
I thought about getting tickets at some point, but the resale is still ridiculous
See,
right now.
it's super expensive in Philly because all the fans are there. Here in Washington, no one cares about the Wizards. Correction, a few people care about the Wizards, but like for their play-in game, you could buy tickets resale for like $40. So I imagine I could probably get a first-round game for like 70.
Listen, we can get a club box right now for
I don't even want to know the price.
$175 a piece.
That is way too much for a first-round matchup.
Nah.
If you want to do that, by all means, go for it. I'm gonna be holding down the fort
Game
here.
3 is only 104.
Oh, only 104.
Yeah. But
All
all right, well, I'm going to end this one because you've been taking my thunder the last couple pods. So, these, in fact, my friends, were the views from Lake. I'm Steve. That's Max. Again, we will do Pod Friday in honor of getting through the Sixers Game 2 matchup so we can recap you there instead of bombarding you on next week. For the Memorial Day pod.
Oh, that'll be exciting.
That'll be exciting and patriotic and memorable, aka Memorial Day. Max just rolled his eyes at me, everybody. So you can catch us on wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other places that I'm sure have been out there that I don't know if we're actually connected to yet. We're on YouTube now. Hit us with a subscribe. Views from Lake. You don't get to see our pretty faces just yet. We're talking about it though, maybe eventually at some point. Probably not. Yeah, we're on there, so you can listen to us as you watch the logo in the background. Give us a subscription there, like, rate, and as always, our DMs are open on Twitter at Views from Lake. You can follow us there. Hit us on our email, viewsfromlake@gmail.com. I feel like we're grandparents using email still to communicate, but hey, we do it. I think that's it. Unless you have anything else, Max.
No, that's pretty much it for me. You can take it out.
All right. Well, these were the views from Lake. Once again, I'm Steve.
I'm Max.
Catch you guys on Friday.
Here they come, baby.